I didn't notice it at first. That's the part that still bothers me, because if I had noticed sooner, maybe things would feel different now. My wife, Claire, started stepping outside around 9:40 p.m. every night. Not 9:30, not at 10, 9:40. At first, it felt harmless, routine. She'd kiss my cheek while I was halfway through whatever show we were pretending to watch together and say, "I'm just gonna get some air." We've lived in the same quiet cul-de-sac in suburban Ohio for 11 years. Same maple tree out front, same cracked driveway we keep saying we'll fix. The house next door had been empty for months after old Mr. Duffy passed. Then, 3 weeks ago, someone moved in. No moving truck, no introductions, just lights turning on one evening and blackout curtains drawn tight by morning. The first night Claire stepped outside at 9:40, I didn't think about the timing. By the fourth night, I did. She'd change into a hoodie, not pajamas, not something sloppy, a specific gray hoodie I'd never seen her wear inside. She'd brush her hair, check her phone, then leave. I asked once, casually, "You've been taking a lot of fresh air lately." She smiled too quickly. "Helps me sleep." "Out front?" "Backyard," she said, already halfway down the hall. But I could see the glow of the porch light through the living room window when she stepped outside. And one night, when I muted the TV and held my breath, I heard it. The soft click of our front gate. Not the backyard, the front. I stood up slowly and peeked through the blinds. She wasn't in the yard. She was walking down the driveway, toward the house next door. My chest tightened in a way I couldn't explain. Not full panic, not yet. Curiosity, confusion, then something uglier. Jealousy. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe she'd made a new friend. Maybe it was a woman. Maybe it was a book club. Maybe I was becoming paranoid. But Claire had always told me everything. Everything. We met at 25, married at 27. She used to narrate her day like a podcast. If she so much as switched shampoo brands, I'd know. Now she was walking next door every night like it was a job. On the 7th night, I asked directly, "Who moved in next door?" Her eyes sharpened. "Have you been watching me?" That hit me like I'd been accused of something criminal. "No," I said quickly. "I just noticed." She folded her arms, defensive. "I go for walks at 9:40 every night." Her jaw tightened. "You're timing me now?" I swallowed. "Claire, I'm just asking." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You're imagining things." That word, imagining. Gaslighting always sounds softer than it is. "I saw you," I said quietly. "You walked next door." Silence. Her face shifted. Not guilt, annoyance. "I stopped by once to introduce myself. Is that a crime?" "Every night?" Her eyes flashed. "I'm not doing this." She grabbed her hoodie and walked out again. 9:40. That's when the doubt turned into something heavier. Not proof, but suspicion. And suspicion doesn't sleep. The next morning, I walked past the neighbor's house casually while pretending to check the mail. Black SUV in the driveway, out-of-state plates, windows tinted, no name on the mailbox yet. I felt ridiculous, like some suburban detective with too much time on his hands, but I couldn't shake the feeling in my gut. So I did something I'm not proud of, something I told myself I'd never do. I ordered a small wireless camera. I told myself it was for security, for peace of mind, for clarity. That's the word I kept using to justify it. Clarity. It arrived 2 days later. Small, discreet. I installed it in the front hallway, angled toward the door. Not to spy on her, just to confirm. That's what I told myself. That night, 9:40 came like clockwork. She stood up, smoothed her hair, put on the gray hoodie. "I'm tired," I said, watching her. She glanced at me. "Go to bed then." "I will." She hesitated, just for a second. Then she left. The camera feed glowed on my phone as I sat in the dark living room. I watched her open the door, step outside, close it quietly, and instead of turning left toward the sidewalk, she turned right toward the neighbor's house. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. I switched to the outdoor camera I'd temporarily placed near the porch earlier that afternoon under the excuse of package theft prevention. She walked up their driveway without hesitation, knocked once. The door opened immediately, like they were expecting her. She stepped inside. The door closed. I stared at the blank screen for a long time. I didn't know what I expected. A man pulling her inside? A kiss? Laughter? Instead, I saw nothing, just a door closing. The mind fills in blanks faster than reality ever could. I didn't confront her that night. I waited. She came back at 11:13 p.m., calm, composed, slipped into bed like nothing had happened. I lay beside her, pretending to sleep, listening to her breathing. Was it steady? Was it nervous? Was she thinking about him, whoever him was? The next evening, I followed. I parked 2 streets over and walked quietly back. The house next door had lights on in only one room, front curtains sealed tight. I crept closer than I ever thought I would, and that's when I heard it. A voice, male, low, firm. "I don't have much time," he said. Claire's voice answered, soft, urgent. "I know." My stomach dropped. I moved closer to the side window. There was a narrow gap in the curtain near the edge, and what I saw wasn't what I expected. They weren't touching, they weren't close. They were sitting across from each other at a table, papers spread between them. Claire looked tense. The man looked serious. Does he suspect anything? My breath caught. Claire shook her head. He thinks I'm losing my mind. Something inside me cracked. The man leaned forward. You can't let him find out yet. Find out what? My heart pounded so violently I thought they'd hear it through the wall. Claire ran a hand through her hair. He's already asking questions. Stay calm, the man said. We're almost there. Almost where? I felt cold. Not angry. Not yet. Cold, because this wasn't an affair. This was something else, something coordinated, something planned, and I was the only one who didn't know what was happening in my own house. A floorboard creaked under my foot. The man's head snapped toward the window. I ducked instantly, my pulse in my throat. Seconds passed. Then I heard footsteps inside, toward the front door. I didn't wait. I ran, back through the dark, back to my car, back to the version of reality that made sense. But nothing made sense anymore. When Claire came home that night, she looked at me differently, like she was measuring something. You okay? She asked softly. Why wouldn't I be? She studied my face. For a second, she said, I thought someone was outside. I forced a laugh. Paranoid? Her eyes held mine. Maybe, she said. And for the first time in 11 years of marriage, I didn't know if I was the one being lied to or the one being protected. And the worst part? A small, terrifying voice inside me whispered, what if it's not about betrayal? What if it's about you? I didn't sleep that night, because the way that man had said it, does he suspect anything? It didn't sound romantic. It sounded strategic. And tomorrow night, I'm going back. But this time, I'm not just watching. And whatever I find next, I don't think I'm ready for it. To be continued. If this tension has your heart racing the way mine was that night, stay with me, because what I uncover next door changes everything I thought I knew about my marriage and about myself. Like it if you feel the suspense tightening. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens when I finally step inside that house. Trust me, you're not prepared.
The next day felt unreal. Claire moved around the kitchen like nothing had shifted. She made coffee, fed the dog, kissed my cheek before work. You look tired, she said gently. Didn't sleep great, I answered. She watched me a second longer than usual, like she was checking for cracks. All day at the office, I couldn't focus. Spreadsheets blurred, emails stacked up unread. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. At 6:12 p.m., Claire texted, "Working late tonight. Don't wait up." Working late. At 9:40. My hands went cold. I didn't reply. Instead, I left work early, drove home, and turned off every light in the house. I didn't want her to know I was there. 9:38. She walked in the front door. Not from work, from outside. My stomach flipped. She had already been next door. She must have parked somewhere else. She froze when she saw the dark living room. "Mark?" she called softly. I stayed still. She stood there for a moment, then walked down the hall. I heard our bedroom door close. 9:40. Exactly. The front door opened again. Closed. I waited 10 seconds. Then I followed. I didn't try to be stealthy this time. I just walked straight down the driveway, crossed the grass, and went to the neighbor's front door. The porch light flicked on before I knocked. The door opened. The same man stood there. Up close, he looked older than I expected. Early 50s, salt and pepper hair, clean cut, not threatening, just serious. "Yes?" he said calmly. "I'm her husband." He didn't flinch. "I figured," he replied. That response hit me harder than if he'd panicked. "Where is she?" "Inside." "Doing what?" He studied my face carefully. "You weren't supposed to come yet." A cold rush spread through me. "Come yet?" I repeated. He stepped aside slightly. "If you're here, it means she hasn't told you." "Told me? What?" He hesitated, then made a decision. "Come in." Every instinct screamed not to step inside, but I did. The house smelled new, fresh paint, bare floors, minimal furniture. Claire stood in the living room when she saw me, her face drained of color. "Mark," she whispered, "you lied to me." My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. She looked at the man. "You said he wasn't ready." "I said if he showed up, we couldn't hide it anymore," he corrected. "Hide what?" My pulse roared in my ears. "Can someone please explain what's happening?" I demanded. Claire stepped toward me slowly. "Please just sit down." "No," I snapped. "No more sitting. No more almost there. What is this?" The man cleared his throat. "My name is Daniel Hayes." The name hit me like a brick. Daniel Hayes. I'd heard it before. In passing. At dinner. In arguments. In late-night whispers Claire thought I didn't catch. "You're the therapist," I said slowly. Claire closed her eyes. The world tilted. "You're seeing him?" I asked, but the anger wasn't about cheating anymore. Claire nodded once. "Yes." "For how long?" 3 months. 3 months. Every night at 9:40. Why here? Why secret meetings next door? Daniel spoke evenly. "Because you refused to go to the clinic." "The clinic?" My breath caught. "I don't need a clinic," I said automatically. Claire's eyes filled. "Mark." I looked between them. No, this is insane. You've been telling him things about me?" Daniel's voice stayed calm. Too calm. Claire reached out because she was worried. Worried about what? Silence. Then Claire said it. "About you." Something inside my chest caved in. "I'm fine," I snapped. "I work, I pay bills, I show up." "You haven't been showing up," she said, her voice shaking. "You haven't been here. Not really." "I'm standing right here." "That's not what I mean." The room felt smaller. "Mark," Daniel said carefully, "do you remember what happened in March?" My brain stalled. "Of course I do." "Tell me." I frowned. What kind of question is that? Claire stepped closer. Please. March. I searched my memory. Work, cold weather, tax season stress. Normal. Nothing happened, I said firmly. Claire's hands started trembling. Mark, she whispered, you were hospitalized. The words didn't compute. What? Daniel watched me closely. For a week, he said, after the incident. There was no incident, I shot back. Claire's tears spilled over. You don't remember? My heart started pounding, not angry this time, afraid. Remember what? She took a shaky breath. You drove into oncoming traffic. The air left my lungs. That's not... You said the headlights were following you, she choked. I stared at her. That didn't happen. That couldn't have happened. You were sleep deprived, Daniel said gently. Severe anxiety, paranoia. The doctors stabilized you. I backed up a step. No. Claire reached for me. I pulled away. You've been having episodes, she said quietly. Small ones, forgetting things, imagining patterns. The headlights, the timing, 9:40. My stomach twisted violently. Those cameras, Daniel said softly, like he'd read my mind, weren't about her. Ice crawled up my spine. What are you saying? Claire's voice broke. You installed cameras last time too, Mark. You thought someone was breaking in. My knees felt weak. That's not true. It is, she sobbed. I looked around the house. The minimal furniture. The staged look. This house, I whispered. Why move in? Daniel answered. We didn't. I blinked. What? This property is owned by the clinic. The walls seemed to close in. We recreated a neutral space, familiar enough to feel safe, close enough that you wouldn't panic. My chest tightened. You think I'm crazy? No, Claire said fiercely. I think you're scared. I tried to think, to anchor myself, but memories felt slippery. March, hospital, oncoming headlights. I remembered stress. I remembered being tired. I didn't remember losing control. You've been slipping again, Claire said quietly. The timing obsession, the suspicion. My breath came fast. I saw you, I insisted weakly. Yes, she said, to plan how to help you without pushing you away. Daniel stepped forward slowly. Your mind fills gaps when you're overwhelmed. It creates patterns, threats. I thought about the gap in the curtain, the way I'd heard, does he suspect anything? Was that even what he said, or what I expected to hear? Mark, Claire whispered, you followed me tonight. Shame burned through me. You could have told me. We tried, Claire said. Every time I bring up therapy, you shut down. My thoughts raced. What if they're right? What if I'm losing time? What if the suspicion wasn't about her? What if it's my brain protecting itself from something worse? Daniel's voice softened. We don't want to institutionalize you. We want to help you before it escalates. Institutionalize. The word echoed like a prison door slamming. I'm not a danger, I said, but it sounded like a question. Claire stepped closer again. You're my husband, she said through tears. I'm not leaving you. I'm fighting for you. I searched her face for deceit. There was none. Only exhaustion, fear, love, real love, the kind that looks tired. I felt something shift inside me. Not clarity, not yet, but doubt. Not about her, about myself. Why didn't you just tell me the house belonged to the clinic? I asked quietly. Daniel gave a faint, sad smile. Would you have believed it? I opened my mouth, then closed it, because I was...
The door clicked shut behind me, and that sound, soft, controlled, deliberate, echoed in my chest like a verdict. Claire didn't let go of my hand. Daniel moved calmly, almost casually, toward a small side table and picked up a folder. Thick, organized. My name printed across the tab in clean black ink. Mark Reynolds. Seeing my name like that, clinical, categorized, made my stomach twist. "You've been documenting me," I said. "Your episodes," Daniel corrected gently, "with Claire's permission." "My permission?" I asked her. Her fingers tightened around mine. "You signed consent forms in March." I tried to remember. Hospital, headlights, sirens? But the memory felt like fog, like someone else's life I'd only heard about. "I don't remember signing anything," I said. "That's part of it," Daniel replied. That phrase again. Part of it. Like there's a bigger picture and I'm just a piece being nudged into place. He gestured toward a chair. "Sit, Mark." This time I did. Not because I trusted him, but because I was tired. Claire sat beside me, not across. That mattered. Daniel remained standing for a moment, studying me. "Tell me what you believe is happening," he said. I let out a shaky breath. "I think my wife has been lying to me," I said slowly, "sneaking out every night, meeting a man in secret, speaking in code, planning something. And now," I hesitated. "Now, I don't know." Silence settled between us. Daniel flipped open the folder. "You were admitted on March 14th, he said calmly, after driving into oncoming traffic at 70 miles per hour. You insisted the cars were coordinating against you." My chest tightened. "That's not how I remember it," I muttered. "How do you remember it?" "I was tired, overworked. I thought I drifted lanes." Claire's eyes were red from crying. "You screamed that the headlights were blinking in patterns. You said they were sending you messages." The words made my skin crawl, because for half a second, that sounded familiar, like a dream you can't fully recall but know you've had. Daniel continued carefully. "You stabilized quickly with medication, but when you felt better, you decided you didn't need it anymore." I looked at Claire. "You said I was fine." She shook her head violently. "I said you were improving." Improving, not healed. "I didn't want to lose you," she said, voice breaking. "You were already suspicious of everyone. If I pushed too hard, you'd think I was part of it." Part of it. My mind latched onto the phrase. "Part of what?" I asked quietly. Daniel answered evenly. "The belief that people are coordinating against you." The room felt too warm. I swallowed. "The 9:40 timing," he said gently. "The pattern, the obsession. It was real," I insisted weakly. "She left at the same time every night." "Yes," Claire said softly, "because we agreed on that time." "Why 9:40? "Because that's when you're most distracted by TV." The words hit hard. Strategic, planned, but not betrayal. Protection, or control, depending on how I looked at it. "You installed cameras before," Daniel said, "in March, in the bedroom, in the garage. You said someone was entering the house." A chill slid down my spine. I didn't remember that, but the tiny camera in my hallway suddenly felt heavier. "I deleted them," Claire said. "You were spiraling." I pressed my palms into my eyes. My thoughts felt tangled. What's memory? What's narrative? What's fear? And then I remembered something small. 2 weeks ago, I asked Claire why she'd moved the coffee mugs. She said she hadn't. I accused her of messing with things to confuse me. She cried that night. I'd forgotten. Until now. "Am I dangerous?" I asked quietly. Claire didn't hesitate. "No." Daniel answered more carefully. "You're vulnerable when untreated." Untreated. The words settled like dust. "I saw you both at the table," I said suddenly. "You asked if I suspected anything." Daniel nodded slowly. "I asked if you were noticing changes in your mood." My stomach dropped. That's not what I heard. Claire's face crumpled. That's what terrifies me. Silence filled the room. And then, my phone buzzed. The sound made me jump violently. Claire flinched too. I stared at the screen. Unknown number. My pulse thundered. "Answer it," Daniel said calmly. I hesitated, then pressed accept. Hello? Static. Then a voice, low, distorted. "He's lying to you." My blood froze. "Who is this?" He moved next door for a reason. My breathing turned shallow. Claire grabbed my arm. "Who is it?" The voice continued. "They've been watching you." Daniel stood still, eyes sharp. "Hang up," he said firmly. "Don't hang up," the voice whispered urgently. "Look in the corner of the room." My gaze snapped to the ceiling, to the exact spot where I thought I saw a camera earlier, and there it was, a small black lens, mounted high, pointed directly at me. My heart slammed against my ribs. "I knew it," I whispered. Claire looked up, her face drained of color. "Daniel." Daniel didn't answer immediately. The voice on the phone laughed softly. "You think this is therapy?" My hands started shaking uncontrollably. "What is this?" I demanded. Daniel's calm cracked for the first time. "It's standard observation equipment," he said quickly, "for patient safety." "Patient?" The word echoed like a gunshot. "I'm not admitted," he snapped. "Not officially," he replied. The voice on the phone spoke again. "They don't want you asking questions." "Stop," Claire sobbed. "This isn't helping." The line went dead. Silence. Thick. Suffocating. I stared at the camera, then at Daniel, then at Claire. "I said you didn't mean this was a clinic," I said quietly. "It's not," Daniel insisted. "It's an outpatient monitoring house." Monitoring? Every word felt like a cage. "I didn't consent to that," I said. "You did," he replied. "I don't remember. That doesn't mean it didn't happen." My mind raced violently. The phone call, the camera, the timing. Either my paranoia had manifested into reality, or something far more complicated was unfolding. "Why would someone call me?" I asked slowly. Daniel's jaw tightened. Delusion reinforcement can feel external. That answer felt rehearsed. Claire was crying openly now. "Mark, please," she begged. "Stay. Don't run." Run? That word triggered something deep in my chest. March? Headlights? Running? 70 miles per hour? Was I repeating something or waking up? I stood slowly, both of them tensed. "I need air," I said. "Mark." "I'm not driving," I added quickly. I walked toward the door. No one stopped me. The cold night air hit my lungs hard. I looked at our house. Dark, familiar, safe, or staged. I didn't know anymore. Behind me, the neighbor's house glowed softly. A clinic, or a cover. I turned slowly and looked at the roofline, and then I saw something that made my heart nearly stop. Across the street, another house. Upstairs window, curtains slightly parted, a faint red dot glowing in the dark, pointed at this house, at me. I blinked. It was gone. Maybe it was a reflection, maybe it wasn't. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. I stared at it, didn't answer. It buzzed again. Voicemail notification. I didn't play it, not yet. I stood between two houses, between two versions of reality. A wife who says she's saving me, a therapist who says I signed consent, a stranger who says they're lying, a camera in the corner, a red dot across the street, and the most terrifying part, somewhere deep down, I can't fully trust my own memory. So here I am, telling you exactly what I saw, exactly what I heard, exactly what I felt. Because if I disappear into someone else's version of this story, at least this record exists. If you felt your reality shift under your feet, if you've ever questioned what's real and what's manipulation, stay with me, because I'm not done digging.
Like this video if your heart is pounding right now. Share it with someone who knows what it feels like to doubt their own mind. And subscribe, because next time I'm answering that voicemail, and whatever's on it might finally prove whether I'm losing my grip or uncovering something far darker. This isn't over. Not even close.